Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the actually the FX Daily Wrap-Up. This is actually the wrap-up that we have for FX, although we're starting to slow down a bit. We do have our regular webinar, which is the European crossover, which I was referencing, at 4 a.m. Eastern. So if you're a member of the ForexAnalytix, or if you want to go and consider being a member, it's $1 for a 10-day membership. You can explore and not only look at the mobile app and all the excellent analysis that's put together from the team, from technical to from the different those patterns, but also many disciplines themselves, such as Elliott Wave, but as well as the chat room that we have throughout the entire day that's open with a lot of great support from other traders in mind. But and as well as I lost the slip of the tongue was the harmonics for those into harmonics. But that being said, let me go on and take a look here. As I mentioned, we do have our previously I've mentioned we do our bias chart during that time. We list the scalp levels for the market that we think where the market may go to and find, either buyers or sellers, whether you're going up or down, looking on, as I mentioned, the long or the downside. And lots of times the traders will incorporate that into their own trading, whether they're may not be scalping, but we'll incorporate that. Today we had our bias chart. Actually, the dollar CAD, we had 31.26. We did dip just into the single digits. We're now at 31.22. If you follow us, and once again, same thing with our basic technical analysis, we'll go to the dollar CAD because that's been the one big mover for today. And if you follow our basic technical analysis for the week, we're looking for an interim target of 31.36 with our overall expected move of 31 even. So we did make that move down here. Basically, we've come to 31 even, so we'll probably start to see a little bit of buying in here now. But 31.36, you can see that just basically just going with the levels here. And you can see the different touches, which I like to do. And then I had look to go on and drop that in just a little bit lower, which would come in 31.26 on a 2 hour, and right there. And but we've gone and pressed a little bit further. We're there anyway, 31 day, because it kind of gives you what you can see here. When we crossed over into the buy signal, we remained in a buy mode. If you look at these exponential moving averages, the entire time until we broke here. Then we had that rally, fell down to 32.36, had that rally all the way back above 34, and then from there we started cascading lower. And you can see here, it never crossed over. We remained in a sell mode the entire time. That's where the exponential moving averages will help to keep you on the right side of the track, and then look for different areas where they go to, or where the market may be targeting with. And yesterday coming up now, my thought was we might even get to today. We did get a little bit of a rebound when Trump tweeted about we saw them out, and I said Trump, but it was actually Bullard, and that sent the dollar higher. We got a little pop up here in the dollar cap, which is barely hanging on. But if you look at this range in here, you see 31.62, almost like what about 31.62. And I'm not talking about the level here, but just mainly the touches up here to about 32.10. So you flip that down, you're talking from 60 to 10, you're talking 50 pips. Flip the range down, and that takes you, I guess, right down to 31.10, which that's what we saw here. We got, what is it, 31.08? So give you an example. And I'm just eyeballing it right now. I didn't even think about that. But you can see here, look at this range here. Right there. And I always go with the touches. I don't go with the actual high, but you can see this going all the way across the board. See that? All the way within this range here. So then when you break that range, you take that lower, You see where that goes and takes us in right down there and put us right around 31, see 31.15, and we got as low as what, 31, looks like 31.06, kind of working up a little bit higher. But really, like I said, that's pretty much what I just go with. I don't use, there's multiple disciplines, like they say, many ways to skin a cat. For me, primarily, I just go with the levels, and I use exponential moving averages to kind of keep me on the right side of the market, and then I use a Fibonacci. So once again, also another thing is with ForexAnalytix, there will be different trading lessons, if you want to call it. They're going to be recordings. They're going to be made, and one of the most popular ones is the Fibonacci that Pipsar Blake had done previously a few years back, one that I actually learned very well and have used and been such a great tool. Will now be available, I think, in the next, he's going to put together something in the next month or so. And if you remember, I think you have the ability to go in and see that. But we'll go on and we'll go on and move on to some other markets. Also, the euro. This has been a real tricky one here with the euro. I want to go on to me. I mentioned in the chat room, it's one of the weirdest days I've seen in the euro. And I'll tell you why. I mean, from the analysis we had, to basic technical analysis that we start out with the week, we kind of, you'd say, well, that was pretty much on, but yes and no. I mean, we were looking for this resistance zone here. And one of the things I mentioned here was, the euro has reached the interim triangle with 1372, confluence with 1377, 78, blah, blah, 2 key fibs. Risk reward diminishes over the short term at this valuation. Resistance zone is 1389 to 1413. So we weren't expecting much, but yesterday we had Powell, and I thought, okay, well, he's going to open the door for that rate, for them to cut rates. And I thought, that will allow, the way this market was holding, allow them to pop the stop. So it might take us up to about 1427, which was actually our bias chart resistance at the time for yesterday. But then, like I said, as the saying goes, funny thing happened on the way to Palladium. Bullard goes and steps in and pricks the balloon, lets the air out, saying, oh, no 50 basis point is coming. And we just went and fell. By the time Powell came on, the euro only traded in about, I think it was a 12 pip range. For his entire question and answer, I think it was 12 pips. If it was more than that, maybe towards the end, it may have gotten up to 14 or maybe 15 pips. So I'm saying is Bullard really took the air out of the balloon. So my thought was, and I thought, okay, the euro is going to be a very nice buy on the way down. And I talked about, hey, the areas that I want to pick up are going to be 1337, 26, and 12. Well, we came down yesterday. You can see this 1343. That was a key level on the way up, remember? But I thought we might get to 37. Well, the market kind of came back, but we danced around. But I thought, okay, well, if we, I thought, okay, this is a sell. When we rallied up here, this is where Trump said the dollar was overvalued. So we popped back up, and I thought that was a good selling opportunity. I grabbed a quick scalp. And then we kind of came down here. I'm thinking, look, this market isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to test slower. And I think we moved our bias chart even down to like it was 1326 because we're looking for this thing to break 1324. So I was looking, okay, we're going to get, if we take out this low, we're going to have to push much lower. That'll get us to around to 24. Here's your 24 right here. And the market looked like it's ready to break. And then the dollar index just couldn't get over the goal line. We kept trying to, here's that 96.34 from yesterday. And we simply couldn't do anything, and it was kind of a strange day. I was pointing out to the guys and gals in the chat room. You're looking here, and I'm looking here on the 30-minute. We were in a buy mode at the time, and the market's just kind of consolidating. And finally, if you look at this bar here, this 30-minute bar, it takes out all the other 30-minute bars. Okay, so now the market is ready to at least gun some stops, probably into the upper 40s, maybe even higher, if nothing else. Just that, as my thought would be, that we'd be bid into the G20. We may still see that. But then the dollar just started slipping, and it actually quickly gave that up, and that put the pressure in. But now we're seeing the dollar come back up again, which goes back now to the euro, because this was a very key area for the euro. This 83 coming in, if you're looking on a very, very short-term basis, on a 30-minute, it shows here, and I'll take a gander at that. But the market hasn't done anything hasn't done anything at that point since then. You can see the different touches here coming across right there. It's really, I think it's on the 15-minute chart. I had it, but right at 80, to me, it was 83 was the key. And the market just languished there. And we moved higher, but I'm saying I was saying, oh, it was 85. Now I remember thinking that. I want to see if this market can get above 85. That would have been a great area to short. I just didn't feel comfortable the way this euro's trading. Now we slipped down, but how much have we slipped down? Well, if you caught right there at that key area, the 85, 10 pips, max. And the market's just acting real funny. And I just didn't want to have any part of it. It's one of the weirdest days to me. I think you're seeing the euro. To me, I believe that's why I thought that it was a decent area here. But the way the market was trading, just kind of funny. Is I think there was just stops being taken out for the market down here for anybody long. Then anybody got short, they get stopped down on the way here, and then we kind of slip back into what I call neutral mode. So not really a whole lot. I mean, it's just a weird kind of day. I think I still wouldn't count the buck out because, like I said, I remember the dollar sitting there and languishing on that first drop Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday the thing just ripped and went gadzooks. So that could still happen. I think the dollar would be bid going to G20, but we shall see. Dollar yen has come back here. We got a level here. You can see that right here coming across here at 791. But once again, like I said, a very strange kind of day. The only other key mover we did have RBNZ yesterday, and really strange kind of an action. But now we'll continue to push up, and the thought was that the RBNZ would hold, and that if they did hold, we could potentially get up to 67 cents. I saw that on an analyst, very good analyst, and that was her take. The weird thing is that although they held, you could see that the statements were relatively dovish, but the market still has kept on pushing higher here in the Kiwi right here. You can see that. So it probably looks like we will go and eventually make it up here to this 67 cents before the market is happy with that. I've got a level here at actually at 67.09, so not that we're that far away. We'll go and look into the cross rates. One of the things I've started to look at before, I hadn't traded in a long time until just not since yesterday, is the gold market. And I used to trade this very active, but now that there's so much interest in this now, and some of the other markets are relatively quiet, it makes sense to look at this. And let me move that. Obviously, moving into the Euro Aussie. It's here with the gold market. Been looking potentially before, was looking for a move up to 1438, and that's on the XAU. And I'm looking for a move all the way down to in the XAU of 1390, and then we'll go and move higher. Now you can see here we may be able to go and get a dip here. Looking at here on the 2-hour chart, I think we will go and pair back to 1390, which would be the futures are trading. I think it's August futures trading at about a $4 premium. What I like to do is I'll just use the XAU to chart the market, and then just trade against. And it trades very active, the same way that the futures are. And I'll just go in and jump in with the futures. But I think that obviously because of the amount of liquidity and activity that's come in, I think it's probably a pretty good little day trading market now at this point. But one thing about gold is you really have to keep that bigger outlook in mind here. You can see here we had a nice resistance level here against the 1415 area here in the XAU. But I do think we'll go in and be able to slide in. One of the things I look at is I try and put how the market is positioned. So I think to me, we did go in and make it up to that 1438. You can see the market running out of gas there. But I think there's probably a lot of people that may have got long, and there might even be some that are hanging on still here. But I think they got a little bit overstretched, a little bit too far. And so I thought, although this is a good area here, I think the market will potentially struggle here. And if the dollar does go bid, that will allow us to push lower. And from here, then you've got that opportunity to then, break lower. And I think that break lower is going to get us down to 1390. And I think you can see that coming across here. We'll go on and just push this over here. There. There you go. So I think we're going to go and make it down there at 1390. The market will kind of roll back. They'll probably stop out a few more people, and this will be a good area to step in, I believe, for the for the longer haul. Doesn't mean you couldn't drop a little bit lower here. We rally back up, and then we maybe come back here, test below that area, then we come back up, and then before you know it, we're off and running again. But I think, like I said, we may need to go and take a pause. We had an incredible run here already, so I think that the door may be open for us to pull lower. And I'm looking for 1390 here. As far as the other cross rates, looking at the euro yen, certainly have gone and broken up in here, but this is a pretty key area right here, 22.58 in here on the euro yen. You can see that once again. I go with the touches here with the market, and I think here's an area we may be able to just go in and pause just a little bit here and maybe take a respite. But certainly the market looks like it's open to eventually moving much higher, and I think it can move higher if you're looking at the potential for the euro. Looking at the guppy actually has held okay despite being really one sick dog that has been languishing, and we talked about the significance of this 3602. We'll take a look at it here on the daily. This is an absolute monster of an area here, 3602. We took one stab below it. We're holding here. If we can hold, I think that we have the opportunity to go on and move up in here, which would be 3823. But we're still a ways off from there. But you basically have like we haven't done it yet, but if we get past here, a very short-term double bottom, and may allow the market a bit of a respite, some shorts to cover. We end up coming up here to go and challenge this 3825 area here. I think that's a possibility, maybe even a little bit beyond. But we shall see. Obviously, the sterling has its own woes. Another mover here for right now is going to be the Aussie yen. The Aussie benefited from the strength that we've seen since the RBNZ with the Kiwi. At least that's my take on this. But we're certainly pushing much higher here in the Aussie yen. How much higher we can go? Let's take a look at this. See if we can see a confluence. Well, we're not too far away from 23%. You see that right here at 75.52. And some nice touches coming across as far as volume. I mean, you can make a case above here, but some good volume all the way coming here, and that would confluence with this 23% on the way back. So on the short-term basis, I'd look for a move, potentially up here to 75.52 for the Aussie yen here. That's about it here, although we have seen the Euro New Zealand continue to move lower. We did have in our bias chart support this morning for I think it was 69.99. I believe we can take a look. So it's holding. Let's see. Yeah, 69.95. And the low so far has been 69.92. Okay, not bad, but we're certainly not bouncing because the momentum continues to be hardcore, to say the very least. Boy, did we shed quite a bit, but certainly the Kiwi has had that opportunity to come back. Well, as I said, we're starting to see gold kind of slip back a little bit. This has been a pretty good fall, and when you look at this on the gold, here's my thoughts here. Once again, is when you're looking at it on a very shorter term basis, let's say on this 30-minute, you've had a pretty good little fall back. So the market's going to have to think of it this way: you fall out of a maybe not two-story window, but if you fall off the ladder, maybe 10 feet, you're down there and you're kind of like, okay, am I okay? Am I okay? I think Blake's used the same, he used a similar analogy. And so you don't just jump off. I mean, jump up. So I'm looking, you see here, this market comes back, you're like, woo, that's a buying opportunity. And we're just going to jump right back in your face for more than $10, about $12. Well, when you fall down like this and you see this kind of move, then the market's like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe there's more downside to probe. We probe that. Market gets a quick jump and like people are quick to jump out. I'll take that money real fast, fall back again. So we have to clear this 14, 15 area here for starters on a 2-hour close, just for starters to make a push higher. I'm not so sure it's going to happen. I'm thinking that there still may be some people that may have come in a little bit late and they're gonna get the opportunity to get out. There's also some people here that may have stepped in and said, you know what, I'll just go in and take the quick gains and come back a little bit later. Let's see if they can test 14. So I think that eventually we'll make it down to 1390. But that's the way that I look at it, is that when you got that big of a fall, the market has to feel itself out. Even though, when you get that first fall, people are just quick to snap that thing up. Look at that. We came right into that area and boy, did we jump right back up. Same thing here. Oh, this is a great buying opportunity. After that, it's like, how many more great buying opportunities do you get? In the sense the market says, wow, if it's that great, why does it keep going lower? And then the market gets to a point where it has to think about it. And then people say, you know what? I'll wait until I get a much better price. And then they see the magnet of 1400 and they say, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll pick some up at 14. Maybe I'll pick some up at 1402, and then if it breaks it, I'll pick some more up at 1397, and then I'll pick up a little more just in case. So that's what I'm thinking, that we have the opportunity to go in and break lower here. Anyway, that's all we've got here. Thanks for joining us here on the wrap up, and have a great rest of the day trading. Although it is very, very quiet.